Good morning.
Morning. How are you?
I'm here.
Another week, right?
Oh my gosh. I didn't know what time it was. I'm going, holy cow. I better get moving.
I know. It's tough. It's dark outside these mornings and
That's
hard to
right.
get up and get moving.
It really is. I'm just I'm getting used to this sleeping in just a little bit. So
Don't have to go anywhere, right?
yeah, I know it. How's Tammy this morning?
Not awake. I had a dream that the alarm didn't get set and it was 10:30.
Oh,
So I was like thinking about all these excuses and
I understand.
thought it was just a dream. I'm like, what time is it really?
I know. Well, mine was not really a dream. Hey, Vince, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Good morning.
I think you were up before all of us.
Maybe.
Maybe. Maybe so. I know. They were just saying, this weekend, they're going to push the time back. So,
Yep.
I saw this thing on Facebook that said, and it said, okay, in March, we had a full moon, something, and then we set the time forward all in one weekend. And then it said, this weekend we have Halloween, a full moon, and the clocks go back. Maybe this will reset the year.
and wasn't there something about a blue moon or something too this week? Something. Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, let's fingers crossed that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I stayed tucked in for the last few days, but now I've got things I've got to catch up on. There's just no excuse.
Yeah.
Where's your coffee, Vince?
I've got it. I'm sipping it.
All right, me too. Ta-da.
Breakfast of Champions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coffee and a cigarette, isn't it? The breakfast of champions.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Ugh.
Good morning. Emily's on.
Morning, Emily.
Morning. I don't see you. Let's see. Who else is here? Karen's here, or maybe. She looks like she's connecting.
Yeah.
Good morning, Missy.
Morning.
Morning, everyone.
How you doing?
Yeah, okay. How about you?
We're all fine.
Good.
We're all slipping in here right on time.
Can't blame the weather for being late.
That's true. That is
Or
true.
you could.
There's Jessica. Hi.
I'm on mute. Good morning.
How are you this
Good
morning?
morning.
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Okay, we're still looking for some people.
Okay.
See, Emily's on.
Emily's here.
Yeah, and Vince is here as a
I'm
I'm here.
guest.
Let's see. Yesterday was just one of those days. I don't want to relive it again. It's kind of like, oh. My daughter had a reaction to the medication they gave her for knee surgery. And
Oh, no.
she ended up in ER. So that was kind of
That's scary.
tenuous there for a while. Yeah, yeah.
Is she okay?
Well, good. Yeah, she was feeling better. They let her go home late yesterday. They took her away the night before in an ambulance, shortened the breath because she reacted to that medicine. She blew up in hives, in the throat and in that area.
Oh, geez.
So, but she's doing better now, I think. I'll be going up there in a minute.
I see Sean Lindaberry from Amazon has joined us, and we still don't have a quorum. Two,
All
three,
right.
4.
Hi, Sean.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Karen.
Hi, how are you, Sean? I
I'm
asked Jean to
doing
join
well.
us. Good. I don't know if Jean's going to join us or not. I sent her the link, so maybe she'll be on here too. Yeah, we're still missing some people. Joyce, it's your call if you want to get started and move it on so you can go and see your daughter, or wait another minute to see if anybody else joins.
We can wait another minute and then we'll move forward.
Okay. We're kind of off schedule this month. Usually we're the day before NADA, but because we're the fourth Wednesday, this is the week after NADA. And I'm hoping that didn't throw people off, but it should have been on their calendars.
Yeah. I think this happens every year though, doesn't it?
Yeah, at least 1 month a year. Yep.
Yeah. Usually, sometimes no, I think most of the time it is October, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
And then, of course, November, we don't usually have one, do we? Let's say,
No, we don't. I see Ken's on. Ken
Okay.
Spangler from Google is on. Let's
There's
see.
Ken.
Morning.
Morning, Ken. Thanks for joining us.
Good
Sorry, I'm
morning.
a few minutes late.
It's all right.
Yeah,
2, 3, 4, 5.
do we have a quorum? No?
No, I need one more.
Okay.
Oh, there's Joe G.
Yeah, hey, I couldn't get in on the regular desktop, but now it's finally after 5 minutes connecting. So sorry, it's been late.
No, you're good. Thanks.
Yeah, so now we can get started.
All right. So we'll call to order the Smart Commute Metro North meeting for October. And we'll skip introductions. I think we've been hearing everybody, kind of announce themselves. So with that, we'll move for approval of the September minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review them? Are there any corrections or changes?
I'll abstain. I wasn't there. Sorry.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. I need a motion for approval, please.
Motion to approve
Okay. A second.
September minutes.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed?
Hi.
Okay.
Who was the second on that?
Ken Spangler.
Ken, thank you.
All right. Next, we have on the agenda the treasurer's report. I'll turn that over to you, Karen.
Okay, thanks very much. I sent out the treasurer's report and we're doing pretty well. The beginning balance was 37,537.40. And then we had deposits almost of that much, 37,170.10. And some of those deposits reflect the reimbursement for the Flex Ride payments that we've made. CMAC for Dr. Cog for July, 2 or 3 renewals for membership, and RTD marketing grant for Q2. And then the debits were 22,457.44. A lot of that is salaries. Depending on when we put our checks in, sometimes the salaries range from 12 to 18, 20. So this was salaries 18,047.45. That includes Jean's salary for Flex Ride that always gets reimbursed, and our CMAC salaries. Nothing outstanding this month. We did buy Jean a printer, and that also will be reimbursed by the Flex Ride program. Our ending balance 52,250.06, but our current balance is 39,587 because the ending balance was October 1st, and we've had some expenses since then. Outstanding balance of invoices 27,125. That's pretty healthy, and we'll get back in next month. Flex Ride, RTD Q3 marketing reimbursement. We have a membership renewal left out there that I expect to be paid. People stepped up, and I really appreciate that. I'd have to make the case that, you know, we got to keep the lights on. We still have to pay salaries. We still have to do the job we have. And people, I think, being worried at the beginning of the pandemic, aren't as worried now. They're seeing work coming in, and the people who are members of our organization, particularly the engineering membership, are paying their members membership. So I'm really excited about that. I think we're going to be okay. And we've got a couple of CMAC reimbursements out there to be accounted for. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. I think we're going to be okay through the year, and then we'll start off again next year.
Okay. Are there
Okay, that's the question. Yeah.
I have a question, actually.
Sure.
Where are we at compared to last year, Karen?
I don't know, Jessica. I didn't look at that. I could pull our accountant's figures for that. She just reconciled the books this week and sent me that, and I didn't even look at it. I'd like to say we're better than we were last year. I remember last year in October, we were pretty worried about being able to make all the payment. And part of that was because we just started the Flex Ride program. And so we were incurring all those expenses for Flex Ride, and we didn't get any money in until January to recoup the Flex Ride expenses. This year, of course, we're in the system. Jean submits the invoice as soon as the month's over, and I'd say within 20 to 30 days, we get those invoices paid. So my guess is that we're better off than we were last month, but I'll pull that and send that out.
I sort of remember that as well. I feel like we were more stressed out last year at this time about it.
Yeah.
And then what about, so you know that we have a new apartment project going in Crossing Point South, which is right at 104th in Colorado. It's going to be 2 more buildings, over 100, I think I want to say 160 units, and it's all going to be families. And so they're looking at Maker Housing is actually the main partner in that, but they were discussing potentially having some extra money that would maybe go into purchasing the Echo Passes. Would I connect them with you? Is that how that should work?
Well, that would be great. We'd be happy to facilitate that. So I think what we need to talk to them about is the likelihood that they would have enough transit to maximize those EcoPass contracts, because the way those EcoPass contracts work is everybody has to buy the EcoPass. So you have to buy one for everybody. And then it's like an insurance program. You know, everybody pays into insurance, and the hope for the insurance company is not everyone's going to use it, right? So they're hedging that, and that's kind of how EcoPass works. For other past programs out there that might work, and if you would have them contact us, Jean's been working very, very closely with with Teresa Rinker at RTD on the past programs. She is right up to speed on what they're offering this year. So that might be the best way to go. And then what we usually do is we give the whoever is interested, the interested party, we give them some idea of how the things work, and then we set up an appointment with them with RTD to talk about specifically what their needs are and what the cost would be. So I'm
Okay,
thinking maybe
yeah.
something like affordable housing
Mhm.
might be more like a neighborhood pass, which has a different threshold to it and might be more economical than an eco pass, but we'd want them to talk to RTD about that.
Okay, yeah, it's a project that we're working on right now. It hasn't even broke ground yet, so it'll be a
Sorry, we lost you,
I
Jessica.
pushed-
It'll be a
I
couple
pushed
of,
mute on my own. It'll be a couple years before those probably people are living there, but and maybe RTD will have a different program altogether. But I think it's good if they start talking and connecting with you guys or with RTD to just get in the mix of things now.
well, I agree. And in a couple of years down the road, we are talking about trying to increase the flex ride service area. And so depending on how many people are living there and where their travel sheds are, the existing flex ride that we have might become more enhanced or more robust. Anything can happen as we watch this program expand and evolve. We have some pretty good numbers on flex ride, and Jean's very good at making the case that we need we need recognition for the amount of service that's being handed up here. And so that's great. So just have them contact me, and then Jean and I can get with them.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And it's at Colorado on 144.
104th, 104, right across from the N line station.
Oh, okay, great.
And so right now that senior apartment building, Crossing Point North, they are using, we did get Flex Ride to go in there, but they're also finding that Via and then of course the hop, skip and drive from Dr. Cog is what works for them best. And they're using I spoke with them this week, I had a meeting over there. They're mostly using the bus system. As I mentioned before, they are struggling with that ramp, getting up and down the ramp, but they figured out the bus system. So whatever works.
Okay, thanks.
Sounds great.
All right, is there any other questions about the treasurer's report?
And I might just note that I see Rhiannon is on and Troy is on as well. So we have 2 more people joining us.
Okay, great. Welcome. Okay, I didn't hear any other comments. So can I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
So
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? All right. It is approved. Next, we have transform overview. Okay, Karen.
Yeah. So I see that also Kyle is on. So we have Kyle on as well.
Great.
I sent all of you the full Transform YouTube link for Transform. And you can see Carson has said there was 104 attendees. And let's see, I can't read that.
149 registered.
149 registered. I was monitoring it. It looks like at no point did we have less than 86 people on for the whole 2 hours. So I'm pretty excited about that. If you look at the links that I sent you, you can go into those individual links if you just want to hear Ray Lang from Amtrak, or if you just want to hear Paul Ballard, or if you just want to see Chuck's, if you just want to see the artist interviews or Karen Hedlund talking about the Fed's programs. We got lots and lots of good comments, kudos for the program. And we got requests from a number of people to send us the links, particularly the artist links. So I have to say, I can't take much credit for this. Carson stitched everything together. He did all the interviews. He worked hard to find a platform that worked well. I thought it went pretty seamlessly. We were worried about the synchronization of voice to video, and he worked out all the kinks of that. Really talented, a talented guy, that Carson, and did a great job on it. And Tammy did a lot of the graphics. She did our little graphics here. And we all worked very closely with RTD. They were really a great partner in getting us the kinds of stuff we needed for that program. All the pictures that we had, the videos, all of those came from RTD. And I want to thank them for being engaged with us to get this done in a timely manner. I thought the registration went very easily. Of course, you know, we didn't charge for this. And we didn't require people be registered ahead of time, although it's better to do that. And under these circumstances, we felt like that was the best call to make. Some of our sister TMOs are doing webinars and charging, and we felt this kind of information getting out was really important. And we also felt that the hassle of trying to register people and get them to pay and chase down the payment and all of that was really more than we wanted to take on, considering the amount of work it took to put this on. And it gave us a lot of, I think, good credibility for the kinds of work that we do. So I'm really pleased about that. We offered to each of our members that if they renewed their membership, they would be called out as a sponsor of Transform. And in fact, we got new member that way. We got FHU as a member who wanted to be called out as a sponsor for Transform as well. So that was really good. I think it just went really well. Does anybody have any questions? Maybe Carson, is there anything else on this slide we wanted to show them, or was that it? I think that's it. Yeah. Happy to take questions.
Karen, I just wanted to say, we go through lots of virtual events now, unfortunately, but the ease of registration and the way the program flowed was one of the best that I can recall. It was just a piece of cake for me, and that's saying something, because I'm challenged a bit with some of the technologies, but to Carson and Tammy and you, it was just, I hate to use this term because you have to follow with this, but it was basically flawless. So congratulations, a good program.
Well, thank you.
Thank
We
you.
so appreciate that. Yeah. I'm waiting for someone to try and take Carson from me now that they know he's so talented. And so that's
should
the
just
bad
ask
news
him to-
about.
You can
that's
teach
the
us all
bad
how to
news.
use the technology.
That's right.
Oh,
All right.
well, thanks very much. That was great. And we hope you take the time to look at the YouTube videos if you didn't get a chance. In particular, I thought the information on the artists was very interesting and their inspiration for the art that they did. Karen Hedlund's take on what's going to happen regardless of the election was very, I think, uplifting, in that she believes, you know, that there is going to be some kind of stimulus package that includes money for infrastructure like rail, and the connectivity to existing rail is important. I thought Ray Lang's info about how Amtrak wants to grow their service and is targeting the Rocky Mountain area, the Denver area, it was a good piece of this. And then, of course, I thought the construction videos and the speeded up video showing the almost 2 mile bridge. RD has a whole lot to be proud of on this kind of a project completed during a pandemic. And I just felt this was the right focus for our Transform this year. And since none of us on the end line got to have, in essence, real station area parties, this was sort of a party of such. And yes, I'm so glad people liked it. And we got a number of kudos from people, Celeste Dragon from Ford Access, and a number of people that aren't normally native followers who came to this, sent notes saying they thought it was a really good program. So thank you all for indulging us in this and letting us make those decisions that that made this a success. And Troy, thanks for your words. That's really great.
Karen, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Yeah.
So was it, well, yeah, last year, right? At Amazon? Was that last year
Yeah.
that we were just there?
Yeah.
And even the year before at Panasonic, I feel like we
Yeah.
focused a lot on fleet and on autonomous vehicles. What happened? Like that just seems like it's out the window now. We're not even, there's nothing happening with that conversation. Now we're back to rail. Is that really where we're going? What happened?
I think it's all of the above. And at CDOT, you know, we're working with the Colorado truckers, motor carriers, looking at autonomous trucks and how do you incorporate those into Colorado and what kind of infrastructure needs to be there. And, you know, we've always talked at CDOT about eventually those managed lanes becoming autonomous lanes. I think the industry is just lagging behind. I think it's still on the horizon. You know, the state of Colorado now is looking at electrified vehicles, electrified buses, and electrified personal vehicles, passenger vehicles, and that kind of thing. And so, like anything else, whatever's hot and trending today changes with tomorrow when whoever's in charge of making those decisions. And I don't think the autonomous vehicles are going to go away, but I think you remember that the Panasonic vehicle, the Easy Mile, Westminster used that during COVID to collect food from one location in Westminster and take it to a senior center in another. Yeah. So we worked with them to use that Easy Mile. The problem with something like Easy Mile, you know, it doesn't go very fast, 15 miles an hour, and it doesn't do well entering into existing traffic. And so the flow of how they need to go, the route they need to go, sometimes makes it difficult to fit into a situation like moving from one location to another along busy highways. But they did use Easy Mile, and I think they used them in other places as well. So I think the autonomous vehicle is still in the mix. It just isn't in front of everybody right now. And the thing with rail, I think, is one more technology to look at. It doesn't look like rail's going away. There's an investment in rail infrastructure across the country. In other countries, rail takes so much single occupancy vehicle off the road. It's a tried and true technology. And my suspicion after hearing everybody speak is that trains aren't going to go away, but they're going to look different in the future. So yeah, good question.
Yeah, thank you.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Anyone else? All right, let's move on the agenda.
Looks like Troy has his hand raised.
Troy. Sure. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
just on a related note, Lynn Geisinger and I and our lobbyists met with the transportation committee heads yesterday to talk a little bit about some rumors about some upcoming legislation. And the topic was kind of supposedly a heads up, you know, the unions may be looking at something. And so we were kind of approaching with caution and appreciated that Matt and Faith were going to meet with us. The topic, or at least the tone of the meeting, switched quickly to more of a positive type atmosphere, which we don't seem to operate too much in PR-wise at RTD. And a lot of the conversation, Jessica, was the governor's priorities, in working with Front Range Rail, Southwest Chief, and really fleshing out the connectivity all over the state. But there was a great deal of discussion and credit from Faith and Matt regarding that need to happen with RTD. And obviously it's a huge CDOT issue, and Karen can speak to that far better than I. But there seems to be a little more of a positive atmosphere. Maybe the accountability committee is helping. I don't know, but rail is really on the forefront, with the governor. And additionally, they identified the governor as very to transportation funding being a priority in his top 4 and maybe his top 1 or 2. I'm interested to hear if Karen has any more thoughts on that. But one of the components that especially Faith mentioned was a transit component that's a little higher than what we normally see as far as the starting negotiations on a bill. And this bill will probably have numerous fees and other things that will be politically affected. But they're going to have majorities, in that side of the aisle, and they're going to be able to move some things. But it was a different twist and a different take about CDOT, RTD, other entities working together. And it was just strangely refreshing. I don't know, maybe that bodes well for all of us, but I just wanted to throw that in when you brought up rail. And I apologize for taking time. I wanted to get that out to this group. I've got a board meeting up here in Weld County, so I'll be leaving here in about 15. Thanks for the time, Madam Chair.
Thanks, Troy. Karen, do you have a comment about that?
Well, I'll just add on to what Troy's saying. We're looking to bump transportation up to the top of the discussion list in the legislature this year. And there's been an ongoing task force working with Matt and Faye to figure out what package looks best to bring in some fees, since none of us will agree to pass any kind of initiative that uses sales tax. So we're looking at fees. And one of the discussions that I thought was sort of interesting was what happens when electric vehicles come online in a larger quantity and don't pay any gas tax. And the Colorado gas tax is what we're talking about. And we've tried to increase that a couple of times and haven't been successful. But if an electric vehicle comes online right now, they pay a $50 fee. $30 of that goes to CDOT, and I think $20 of that goes to administration, typical. And the question was asked, well, how much are we losing then in gas tax? And a couple of years ago, there was a vehicle miles traveled pilot program that CDOT did and gave out little doohickeys that are a lot like what Progressive Insurance uses to have people determine what it would cost had they paid per mile or had they paid at the gas pump. And it was interesting because the data that came out of that also let us know how much typically people pay a year in gas tax in Colorado for Colorado gas tax. And the average is $140 a year. I was thinking it was a whole lot more than that, but this is the Colorado portion of the gas tax. And so in the discussions about electric vehicles, there has been some discussion, and rightly so, that there should be a more equitable break on that. So it shouldn't just be $50, but it shouldn't be something exorbitant either. And so I think that that's in the mix of how do you equalize electric vehicles coming on board and people paying for gas for combustion engines, and should that be something around $140 as well. So I thought it's a very thoughtful discussion. A lot of people who are interested in this topic at the table talking about it, and I know CDOT's at the table talking about it as well, but we should be getting an update this month on where those discussions are going. And this is really the first time we've had any transportation transportation, I don't want to say saviors or transportation promoters, I guess, in the state legislature, to have one in the House and one in the Senate that are really taking a look at this, because in the past, while everyone talks about transportation, there's really been no leadership. So maybe leadership is the word I'm looking for, transportation leadership. So appreciate Troy bringing that up.
That's interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, I think we can move then to number 5, which is the 2020 work plan update.
Yeah, so there's some stuff left for us to do in 2020. Wanted to give you the Flex Ride update. As you know, Jean works on this. This is her primary job. I don't see her on the line. Jean, if you're on, just interrupt me. Let's see, I need to move that. I need to get rid of this box. Maybe that's it. Yeah, there it is. So this is what Jean compiled for our meeting recently. If you remember, we are right at 1 year of the Flex Ride program. In the beginning, we started the 11th of November, 2019, and you can see the ridership numbers are pretty low. And then over the Christmas holiday, bumped up. And then you see January, February, that probably reflects the retail market. Not so many of the December employees, part-time employees using it. You remember this serves St. Anthony North, Orchard Town Center, Amazon, Den 3, all of those over by Cabela's, and then Denver Premium Outlets. And all of those were gearing up. And then March is really when COVID hit. And then you look at April, and I think it's interesting, the numbers went up. And one of the reasons we speculate the numbers went up is because so many essential workers needed to keep their jobs and needed to get away to work. So our numbers went up on that. And then May and June, July, numbers have gone up, and we believe part of that is the marketing that we've done. We have incredible customer service on this. Jean troubleshoots on all of these routes and make sure they're working to their top capacity. During COVID, RTD restricted these buses that generally take 15 passengers, restricted them to 5 passengers per bus. And at the discretion of the driver, it could be less than that. So you can see we're doing pretty well, given that you can only get 5 passengers per bus. We have Saturday service, which is pretty incredible. None of the other Flex Ride services do have that. And then there was also a program that we were involved in that went through the end of June, where on Sundays people could get $25 Lyft card to get to where they needed to go. And that was in conjunction with the Flex Ride, and Jean took care of all of the administration of all of that. So pretty interesting stuff. Then you look at July and August. I'm not sure why the numbers are down in September, but not down considerably. We'll be looking really with November, December, looking to see those numbers shoot back up. Although now that we now are in Adams County and Denver County have put in some new social distancing restrictions again for retail and restaurant and that sort of thing, the numbers might go down. This has been quite an experience and quite an experiment over this pandemic time, because nothing can be forecasted or prognosticated. We just, usually as an economist, you would look at all these and do some forecasting. It's not easy to forecast under the circumstances, but of all the Flex Rides, ours is doing the best. And I attribute that a lot to Jean's handholding, both of employers and employees and people who are riding this. She goes to bat for them. She's their voice with RTD, and RTD has been very good about responding to the issues that we've had when things don't work exactly right, the challenges that come up from day to day. So anyway, interesting Sean's on the line. I don't know, Sean, if you want to say anything about the importance of Flex Ride is to Amazon. We do know a lot of Amazon riders are on this Flex Ride, but we also know that the travel shed for a number of different employers are reflected. And I can bring you those next month. Jean's done some heat maps that show where riders are coming from and where they're going to. So I'll ask Sean, do you have anything that you want to add to this?
Sure. Yeah, I think I just want to echo my appreciation for Jean. She's been amazing to work with, and a lot of our Den 3 associates do utilize the service, and Jean's really been available at a lot of different hours throughout the day to do travel planning and really help them get on board with the service and use it. And I know she's on the bus regularly talking to a lot of Amazon associates. So it's been really great to work with her. And we're excited. We're actually going to be offering transit passes to associates, at least for November and December, to help with recruiting during our peak season. So I'm hoping to see those numbers go up with that program.
Well, we really appreciate Amazon coming to the table with those transit passes. And as you know, our program is based on a grant that we got that requires a local match from our area, both from Westminster and from Thornton, and then from Amazon, from St. Anthony North. We had been hoping to get Denver Premium Outlets as well to go into that. But one of the pieces of our grant is a challenge from RTD that we buy transit passes, and this purchase by Amazon will fulfill that requirement for us for this year. And that's a value of probably about $25,000 to us on that local match challenge grant. So we really appreciate that. And we know Jean and you have been working hand in hand to make that happen. And just want to say, we hope you find value in that. And we're really appreciative of you being a partner on this.
Karen, this is Rhiannon. Maybe a question for you. Given all of the success around the Flex Ride and in particular, I think Smart Commute's leadership on it, has the team already done something in terms of kind of putting out like thought leadership type materials in terms of like best practices around operating these, around that kind of like the customer service as kind of a pathway to success? I ask because I think it would just be a good way to kind of position the organization as a leader on this and kind of toot your own horns too in the same way. And even better if Amazon wants to, you know, go on record and say how great this is or what difference it's made in terms of people's lives or people themselves, of course, the employees.
Well, I love that idea, Rhiannon, and I'll talk to Jean about it. We have internally talked a lot about we should promote lessons learned and best practices. She stepped up to all the challenges. And I think one of the big pieces of success for this has been the innovation of connecting customer service to the service. RTD has a very large customer service cache of people that have to deal with everything under the sun. And when you have somebody just dedicated to a route like this that supports workforce transit and vulnerable populations transit, those challenges are far different than just commuter travel on the 120 or 120X. So to answer your question, we did put out a paper to Dr. Cog earlier in the program. Maybe March, but we didn't get much traction from Dr. Cog on that. And I think now, having learned the lessons through this year, and then next week at Women in Transportation Services, I'm their keynote speaker to talk about the Flex Ride program and the successes we've had. And I think on the heels of that, your suggestion to do a thought leadership paper is excellent. And I'll meet with Jean and let's get that done. That's a wonderful suggestion. I always like that you bring you know, the outside into us, because we're involved in this on a day-to-day, and we don't think much about tooting our horn or putting ourselves out there because we're just busy doing it. So I really appreciate that, Rhiannon.
You know, and as a follow-up to Rhiannon, I think this is, and I love Vince's comment, but this is duly noted at RTD. You know, we've not had a lot of great success stories with ridership, as you might imagine, except this one. And, you know, the role of Gene is critical. And I can almost see that we need to promote that type of a ombudsman or whatever you would say as a title for other services. So it's getting noticed at 16th and Blake for sure. I don't know if Vince has anything to add, but I think there is more potential. Karen will do that, but I echo your comments, Rhiannon, in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to celebrate our successes in these times.
That's right.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, I would concur with Troy, and I would look forward to seeing some kind of a white paper and lessons learned, because clearly this Flex Ride service is an example of increasing ridership in a difficult time. And if RTD can take away some lessons about what it means and how it worked, you know, we're always looking to increase ridership. And I think we need to revisit our often hands-off model of of trying to increase ridership and doing more of a hands-on model that this seems to have been with Gene being out there riding the buses, talking to people and so forth. And you know, you put boots on the ground sometimes, and it works a lot better than, you know, putting an ad on a website that nobody looks at. So anyway, thanks very much.
Yeah, great idea. Thanks, Rhiannon. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Karen,
this is Kyle.
Oh, go ahead, Kyle.
I'm sorry. Sorry. I had a question. I love seeing these high numbers, which is pretty amazing. I'm wondering if we could put this into a ridership per bus. And I'm wondering, with the COVID restrictions on that ridership, are we on certain route or on certain times, are we actually running into capacity constraints?
I think your answer is yes, and Jean can pull those numbers, but she has worked with RTD when a bus is full to make sure that another bus is dispatched. That has been an issue for us, particularly in peak times. And so we can do that per bus. I think I have some other numbers that show how many riders per hour there are. And that's a threshold that RTD uses to determine if a flex ride is meeting its expectations or is on the cutting board. So we have all those. And if you're interested in more of this information, we can do a more in-depth overview of flex ride. In fact, you know, having maybe our December meeting have more of this information with a year under our belt would be great. And Jean would give a great presentation, I'm sure. You know, when we started this project, we talked about it being a pilot project. That's how we got the grant. We pushed it as a pilot project to say, you know, if there is no transit somewhere and workforce needs that transit and vulnerable populations don't have any options, what if you start with a flex ride option and customize it to the users that need it? And that this flex ride option could be really flexible in that we can tweak the hours, which we did during COVID. If you remember, the original flex ride had fixed hours in the morning and the evening during commuting times. And then during the middle of the day, it was on demand. And during COVID, we took that on demand off. So these are numbers that are really on fixed, semi-fixed routes without on demand being reinstated. Jean could speak more to that, but I think it's one of the values of a pilot like this is if it's a pilot, you have a little more flexibility to tweak it as it needs tweaking. And to Troy's comments and Vince's comments, those two directors see all the time how inflexible RTD can be. And that might be part of the issue with RTD is it has to have a way to be more flexible than just make a change once a quarter to some of the flex routes. So appreciate all your comments.
Great. I think it would be a great idea to put it on the December agenda. So,
Great.
all right. Are there any other comments? No? Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So, you know, we work for NADA. You all know that NADA pays us an administrative fee. It's about $12,000, $13,000 a year to administer the North Area Transportation Alliance. We do their outreach and we do their communications and we put the agendas together and do the meetings and all of that. One of the things that we had, in fact, Jean was working on this one as well when she was still with Adams County. Jean and I put together this NADA Leave Behind, the original one, I think in 2016 maybe, and it just kind of sat there because the local jurisdictions didn't get engaged with us and we couldn't seem to update things to the satisfaction of local jurisdictions. And so last year, under Julie Mullica's direction, we pulled this back up and we reconfigured it and we updated it. And we made sure that every single one of the jurisdictions gave us what they wanted on this. So this is supposed to be a 4-page, a 4-page. So this is page 1 and 2. And then let's go to page 3 and 4. Okay, so this is 3 and 4. And this piece where it says we are NADA, this is all of the jurisdictions in NADA and a little thumbnail that they wrote about themselves. And we've updated it to make sure it was all current, but to give anybody who was looking at this Leave Behind, whether it was at the state or whether it was in Washington, D.C., or whether it was for a site selector or whether it was for whatever exposure we were going to have, they would have a one in hand, a piece that's on 2 sides that is a 1 sheet that can be folded over. And then we had so many projects on the primary projects list that had defined what each of these projects were, and it was such small writing you couldn't read it. So instead, Tammy came up with an idea of this QR code. If you hit this QR code, it takes you to the NADA website that has all these projects on it, and the projects then have a table that tells you exactly what these projects are. So under I-25 highway infrastructure and transit improvements, when you look at US 36 to Colorado 7 safety and operational improvements, it delineates what those are. I-25 express lanes completion to Colorado 7, it delineates what that is. I-25 Colorado 7 interchange replacement and mobility hub, it tells you what that is. And it also gives some information about estimated cost and what the funding opportunities might be. And one of the reasons we did this was to establish the strength of 13 communities, 13 jurisdictions, along with Smart Commute and Adams County Regional Economic Partnership, saying we all speak with one voice. And these are the kinds of things in our area that we want investment in and we want improvement in. And here are the reasons why we need this. I'm really proud of this. This is a very comprehensive document that can be used as a marketing document. And it's not going to be static. It's going to be flexible in that we can make changes and improvements to it. So we're really proud of it. It took us almost all year between us doing all the other stuff to get this finished into a piece that we felt was germane to the current situation in each of these communities. And it's interesting because when I did some of the text on the front, I changed, can you go back to the front, Carson? Excuse me. There you go. So under here, I can't really read it, it's so small. But under here where it says, well, I can't see it. We talk about what the area looks like, and we talk about stuff like the stuff that's going on at Interlochen, for example, Research and Technology Park, but we also added distribution centers, because we know distribution centers is a big piece of our future. The one for Amazon at 144th and the one that's going in up on 160th, around 160th and Huron. We've added that. We've tried to add things that are germane to how things are changing. Looking to see where that exactly is on here, but anyway, so we tried to update it so that it's current for 2020, and then we'll look to continue to update it as we need to. So I'd be happy to take any questions on that or comments.
Yeah. I was just looking, it's in that first paragraph.
It's right here.
Transportation investments.
It's under the keep workforce moving.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Local planning anticipates the additional development of the healthcare sector, science and technology parks, distribution centers, and partnership education facilities.
Right.
And we tried to capture what we thought, workforce needs were going to be up in this area.
Great. Okay. Any other questions or comments? I personally think that it's a great job, Karen, and we've been working on this for a while. And like you said, it kind of.
Yes, we have, Joyce, since you were the chair of NADA, remember? And our first iteration was a good one, but things changed pretty rapidly. And
absolutely.
We updated the current NADA population. We estimated the amount of population within Adams County within the NADA boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 260,000 cars a day coming through I-25 and Highway 7. I verified that with our CDOT people. So, yeah.
Everything's fluid, I'm just glad we finally have it. So it's great. And I love the QR code idea. I think that's great.
Oh, Tammy did a wonderful job on this. And I have to say, we're so fortunate to have people like Tammy and Carson, who Tammy loves to do this kind of graphic stuff. And thank goodness she does. Otherwise, we'd be paying someone to do it. And it would be expensive. So kudos to Tammy for this too. And she never gets frustrated when I send her a text and say, okay, look, this is what I need changed on it. She doesn't, what, again? She says, okay, gets it done.
That's after years of working with engineers.
Oh dear.
I just wanted to say that I think it's great that it's detailed, but it's detailed just enough to make them want to spark their interest and to make them want to ask more questions, which is what you want, because it's a conversation starter, which is good.
Right. And maybe when we start going back to the conventions in Washington, we can start leaving these things behind out there.
Yes.
That was ultimately the first, the reason why we started this, but it's good.
Yeah.
Any other comments about the leave behind? Okay.
So, yeah, this is exciting. This is a commemorative book update. We are doing a commemorative book. It's a pictorial. It'll be 27 pages, 26 pages, something like that. And we are looking at the end line from inception to implementation at 124. We're going to make sure people know it's not the end of the line, that there's still another segment that needs to be built. We'll have a little bit of text in there. We'll feature the artwork from the artists. We've got a picture of Metro Mayor's signing the MOU. We've got a picture of the two Jeans, Gene Putman and Gene Shreve, wearing a protest t-shirt at an RTD meeting. We've got pictures of the groundbreaking. We've got pictures of construction, and we've got pictures of the celebrations at the end. It's going to be a very great book, and we're almost finished with it. It's going to be it's a, Tammy, what size is it? I've forgotten.
It's a 8.5 by 11 landscape. So like a coffee
Landscape.
table book,
Hardback.
hardback. I just want to thank Jessica for her and Kent for all their help on getting the historical photos for Thornton. So we have some really cool historical photos in there too.
So it's going to cost us about $6,000 to do 500 of these books, which we'll give out to jurisdictions and to anybody who came to transform, and really just about anybody who wants one of these books. And the inspiration was Paul Ballard had shown me a book that he did for Dallas Fort Worth Rail. And it just seemed like such a nice commemoration instead of a plaque or a, you know, some piece of sculpture that you put in the garage sale 3 years from now. We have a marketing agreement with RTD that allows us to have 20 grand a year, and we bill down on that. Any community events we go to, there's a number of things we're allowed to bill, but we really had an excess of money left this year that we couldn't bill down on because we're not going to any community events. And so we asked our person at RTD, Adrian Mabry, can we use our money to pay for these books and be reimbursed? And he said yes. So there's no cost to us, and we'll be able to buy down the remainder of our marketing agreement money that we would have to forfeit anyway because we are not doing community outreach. So I'm really pleased about that. So Tammy's almost got it ready to go to the printers, and then we're expecting to be able to disperse it and distribute it in December. And we'll have a couple of locations on the inline where people can come and pick up their books, and we'll put that information out. We're not going to mail it to people because it's too expensive to do that, but we'll have several locations, and we'll also deliver them to jurisdictions, and they can deliver them to their elected officials.
Okay, great. Any comments? No? All right, then let's move to the employer surveys.
So every year we're required by DRCOG's partnership grant to do surveys, and Catherine is the one who does all the surveys for us. She does all the data collection, and she reaches out to all the employers within our service area and holds her hand a lot in how to pull data that's meaningful and that can help us figure out if we're really doing the job we need to reduce vehicle miles traveled, and also if we're connecting the way they need to. And so we have 31 unique organizations that we are surveying this year. You can see the numbers there of responses, and she's compiling all that information. We do a very nice 4-page survey response sheet to those employers, and I think they really find that valuable information as they're trying to figure out how to be more sustainable within themselves, and how to offer either incentives to reduce vehicle miles traveled, or give out enough information about mobility options, or like Amazon, give ridership, free ridership on certain opportunities, whether it's some people give, in the past some people have given their employees credit for teleworking, or for not driving, they would get some kind of reward for that. So I mean, it's a different world out there now, but this kind of statistical data really helps employers figure out what for them, what their culture is and what they want to do to make a change. So we appreciate that. That's underway, and we should start getting those results all compiled and ready to go out by December. I think we'll have a report for you.
Karen, are you working at all, or is it Will Toole from the Colorado Energy Office?
Yes, I've known Will for many, many years. And the Colorado Energy Office is working with CDOT and DRCOG and the Regional Air Quality Council. And as TMAs, we are all engaged with the Energy Office through the Way to Go program. We sit in on a monthly meeting with Regional Air Quality Council, putting together what's called an employee trip reduction. Let's see, employee-based trip reduction program that we hope to pilot next year or the year after, with the goal of reducing greenhouse gas emissions.
So he presented at DRCOG last week, and it
Yeah.
It was an interesting presentation, but it didn't seem to have a whole lot of meat with it. And so I'm glad to hear that you're working with him, because I think there's already ideas out there on some of the things he was talking about.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. We felt that in the TMA committees. You know, there's 7 of us metro-wide, and we've been doing a lot of this work for a while. And Will's group came in and said, here's what we need to do, and here's what we think will work. And then we kind of pushed back and said, well, look, here's what we do, and here's what has been working. And so finally, there's been a meeting of the minds. And I think, and Tammy sat in on that last meeting with me, but I think we're headed in the right direction finally after some headbutting. And the
good.
headbutting came from the ambiguity of the program that the Colorado Energy Office was putting together. It just didn't have much specificity to it. And I think because the TMAs all do this all the time, and we're always surveying, we're always required to do certain things for our congestion mitigation air quality grants. That Tammy, did you think we're kind of more on a collaborative page now?
Yeah, I think at first they were basically trying to recreate the wheel, which we already do. And we, thank goodness to like Karen and Stuart and stuff on there, said, we've done this for years. You don't need to recreate it. Why don't you work with us to get to a program? And I think we're definitely on the way there. We're definitely much more on the right track now than we were before.
That makes me feel much better, because I asked the question about, well, if you want less traffic on the road, there has to be more mobility options. For instance, we're either at or above 100% pre-COVID numbers right now on I-25 with many people doing telecommuting. So he didn't understand that and didn't have an answer. And I was like, this is like teaching. Everything theoretically sounds great, but when you put it into practice, not so good. So I'm glad to hear you guys are on that and hopefully making some headway.
Yeah, I'm much more encouraged this last meeting. We talk about all the challenges and what is the outcome you want, and all of what Tammy said. So yes, we've been engaged in that. It's been a little frustrating, but I think we're headed in the right direction now. And I do have to give kudos to Stuart Anderson of Transportation Solutions down in Cherry Creek. Stuart did this as a consultant for many years under Urban Trans. And so he's really an expert. He's like the godfather of TDM. And he's the ED down there now. And so we've looked to his leadership because he's got industry leadership. And so, yeah, I think we're getting there.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, Karen, let's move on to inline ridership outreach plan.
Yeah. So the end of this year, we are going to encourage, starting in November, now that we've got Transform out of the way, we're going to encourage riders at 88th and Wagon Road parking rides to try the inline. We've all been a little worried about enough travel on the inline to keep it in the eye of RTD as a good investment and a viable option for transit, and particularly as they're cutting bus routes. You can cut bus routes and move them around, but you can't move the train from where it's at. So we want to be sure there's enough robust ridership. So we're going to go out. We are going to give away, we have a number of inline bottles left. We've got some My Ride cards that are a free ride. It's a $10.50 value. We've got a number of those left, and we'll give those out to people who want to try the inline, and we'll survey riders to find out why they might not be wanting to ride the N-Line. Paul Ballard made some pretty interesting observations when he talked to Transform. For example, he said in the N-Line in the first week, ridership was 3,500 people a day. The first week was free, so a lot of people were trying it and just going downtown to see what it was like, how long it took, and how the ride was, and what the vistas look like, and all that. But boardings now are about 2,500 per day, which are still pretty good, given a lot of people are not commuting to work anymore, but teleworking. We've had a number of comments from Jessica, who's working with senior populations, about some of the challenges of using the N-Line, and we're passing those along to RTD right away. We've also had some good testimonials from people saying, this has been great. I will take this downtown. I will go to this downtown. It's a great ride. It's clean, it's safe, all of those things. So we will, in the next 2 months, that will be our big focus as we clear out the workload from 2020. We're going to see if we can make a difference in promoting the N-Line.
And to add to that, Karen, on the 88th station, there is still not just the senior population, but when you compare the 88th Park and Ride to the 88th N-Line station, the seating is not probably going to be adequate. And then also there's no awnings or cover. And so for winter time, there's no protection for people to stand out in the elements while they're waiting. And so I don't know, what kind of partnership we could have from the city of Thornton with RTD to install something like that, more coverage down there. But we've already sort of done a little bit of put some feelers out there on why people would maybe not take the train at 88th versus the 88th Park and Ride. And it is a lot of, and I've driven by on 88th Park and Ride and seen, just the line of people standing out there. And so that would be great if we could shift them all over to 88th station. But we're going to probably have to look at some of the seating, and then of course the awnings or protection coverage areas over there.
That's great, Jessica. Well, let's, as we start getting this, maybe we could have a sit down with you and talk about some of the things that you're hearing, and then what you think we need to be asking in that interview. This is separate from the N-Line ridership outreach plan, but we are working with the city of Thornton and the city of North Glen on some improvements on I-25, 84th to 104th, and how to fix some of the safety issues there. And we're working with RTD to talk about if we could shift riders over to the N-Line. Does that help with the safety issues we have on I-25? And our suspicion is it would help, because the bus won't be weaving back and forth from right to left into traffic, particularly where the topography is difficult, and riders, passengers, occupancy vehicles and trucks and all that try to cut the bus off because they don't want to be behind the slow bus. So all of that's kind of interconnected, and we'll be working on that as well, both at Smart Commute and at CDOT.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, let's move to discussion of board officers for 2021.
Right. So 2021 is soon approaching, and we ought to put a slate of officers together for our December meeting. Those of you who are officers on the board now, if you want to stay as an officer on the board, please let Joyce or I know, or both of us know. I've been looking for addition to our board. One of the people I've reached out to is Seth from Community Reach, and I'm thinking an in-kind relationship with Community Reach would be a good one for us, particularly for vulnerable populations. And Rick is open to that, whether it's him or his deputy sitting on there. And I just think it's a good a good addition to our board. We've been very strategic in how we build this board. And so I just wanted to let you know that if there is no opposition to me inviting someone from Community Reach to be on our board. We did have a relationship years ago with Community Reach when Deb Obermeyer worked as their communications person over there after she left the Metro North Chamber. And so we did have a relationship, but that relationship has sort of gone by the wayside with new people at Community Reach. And I just haven't worked very hard to maintain them as members. But I do think it's a good opportunity for us. They also have office space over there that we may be able to negotiate for. But my thought was first to get Rick involved with Smart Commute and then approach him for office space. So,
Karen, I think that's a good idea. You know, they're very active in the community in a number of ways, and their clients actually would utilize our services, I'm sure. You know, so I think it's a great connection personally.
well, good, thank you. Well, I'll pursue that unless I hear anybody saying that they really feel opposed to having that relationship on the board. I think it's a good addition for us.
Okay, all right. With that,
So yeah, Joyce and I'll be reaching out to you guys about the slate of officers for 2021.
okay, sounds great.
Okay, and then finally,
Retreat.
I don't see, yeah. Do we were going to have a treat this year and we didn't do it because of lots of reasons. Do we want to plan for a virtual retreat next year? If we do, what do we want to tackle? We need to think of what our plan for 2021 needs to be. So I thought we'd open that for discussion today before we close out this meeting.
I'm kind of over the virtual stuff, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And now with COVID on the, you know, upswing again, there is no way to predict if we can even have another meeting, you know, physically. So I think it's a good idea to come together as far as a retreat goes, rather than having just the normal meetings, you know, just to kind of get our arms around where we want to go, you know, where we've been and where we want to go. Because I really think we need to stay on track, you know, and make sure that we don't kind of divert from our mission. But I'll just kind of open it up, see what everybody else has to say.
Joyce, this is Kyle. I agree with you. I think a retreat is important. I think partially because in my mind, this board is sort of charged with both tactical, sort of the daily, and I think we do a really good job on that. And it's sometimes easier to focus on that than it is on some of the more strategic and the big picture things. And I think at a retreat, we could really have an opportunity to ensure that we are, to use your words, on track to really hitting both of those. And there are different things in both of those buckets. So I'd be in favor of retreat.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll echo that as well, Joyce, Kyle. But same thing. I think it'd be really worthwhile.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else? Okay, I think, you know, why don't we then plan on working on some kind of an agenda and also when we want to do that in 2021.
And let's hope for in person.
Yes, I agree.
That would be great.
I know. Is it today that it's effective going into phase 3 again?
Yeah.
I believe so.
But at least the gyms can stay open.
That's right.
Thank goodness.
I know. And my husband is just clinging to the swim, you know, he wants the swimming pools to stay open. He goes to the rec center every day, you know, and devastated that they were closing again.
And sadly, I'm closing my pool this weekend. I can't, the delta between keeping it heated and paying my heating bill is now at the point where I need to close my pool. And it has been a lifesaver for me this year, every day during lunch hour, just getting in there and doing laps and keeping my sanity. But yes, we're gonna close it this weekend. I'm really sad.
Oh. You better get out there a couple more times.
Well, I might. It's 90, the pool is at 90 degrees, which is really nice. It's getting out of my house into the pool that's the hard part.
I get it. I know. Well, it's supposed to warm up the next few days. So with that, I think that unless anyone else has any comments.
Yeah. Sorry, Joyce, just two follow-ups if I could.
Sure.
Probably a broken record on this one, but I do appreciate when we have updates on the data collection analysis that I think Tammy had been sort of spearheading, and just wanted to understand, I think this is with Dr. Cog to ensure that, I think it was with Dr. Cog to ensure that we are getting updated data, or that organization was, from the North area, because it seemed as though some decisions were being made on incorrect or partial data, which were disadvantageous to our group. So maybe, and this, if that could be on the next agenda, just a quick update to know where we are on that. And then the other one was, we had talked a bit about sort of this initiative to sort of stitch together all the bike lanes throughout the North Metro area and understand where the Swiss cheese is. Again, just a quick update on that would be helpful too. And again, can happen next meeting if you guys are okay with it.
That's great. In fact, Karen and I talked about the bike lanes just the other day. So it's something that we haven't forgotten. I think with the transform and some of the other things that staff has been doing, that they just couldn't get it all done, right away, but definitely haven't forgotten about it, Kyle. So
thank you.
And Tammy, you might want to give a quick update just to tell him that you've been in contact with Dr. Cog. They continue to reference us. So Tammy, do you want to just give a quick?
Yeah, actually, Kyle, we actually got to see I got to see some firsthand results from our work with the data committee. I'm also on the State Highway 7 TAC committee, and they're putting together a corridor development plan for State Highway 7 from from Brighton to Boulder. And I put them in touch with Andy at Dr. Cog, and specifically the model, and help them actually use the model with the current data on it to pull forecasted residential and employment numbers for the State Highway quarter 7. And the really cool thing was to see on this map that it showed the high hit areas that they're expecting growth in are around Broomfield, Highway 7 and I-25, the corridor. It showed the projected numbers of where the growth is going to be, and it's right in the areas that we've been saying they're going to be. So it is reflecting in the model. So it was really cool to be able to see that and to say that those are current numbers and that they are the places that we know the growth is going to be, and the model's showing it.
That is great.
Yeah,
Did that surprise some people who are receiving information?
Some people, because we had a couple people ask. Sarah Grant with Broomfield asked if that was the current numbers, and I said yeah. And some of the other jurisdictions were really surprised to see that's where the growth was, and it's where we've been saying the growth is. So it was really cool to see it tie together finally.
Yeah, that's good news. Thank you for that update.
Are we having Andy and his group come to NADA in December? Did we talk about putting them on the December agenda?
We can, because Brad offered they can do an update on what they've done so far for this year, and then also where they're anticipating to go for next year. So I think he offered either or. I think we asked them to do both.
That sounds great. And now that we are recording these meetings, if people on Smart Commute can't get to the NADA meeting, because it's usually the next day, we can record that, and then you guys can look at the recording, particularly you, Kyle, who's interested in all of this. So we'll send out both the date of the meeting and then also as soon as we have it recorded, the recording of that meeting so that you'll have that information.
That's great. All right. Anyone else? With that, thank you everyone for attending the meeting and we will see you next month. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Sounds great. Thank you very much,
Take
everyone.
care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.